Testing. One, two, three. Hello. Hello. Okay. Let me just maybe put on some background music. Let me see here. Clear all those. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. That'll work. The audio stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate we recommend. Let me see here. Okay, can I do that? Okay, almost ready to start. Okay, can I just do something like that? Okay. And then properties, what's this bitrate nonsense? I have no idea what that is. Hopefully I can be heard. Looks like the levels are good. But, I don't know, it's gonna give me... Can I just X that? Okay, I'm gonna X that out. We'll see. Okay, well, welcome to the Black Ponderer. Oops. Oops. Got an earthquake. Earthquake. Yeah, so... Yeah, this is a Black Ponderer stream. I was trying to get my camera to work with my laptop, but my laptop was just not having it. My laptop was saying, nope, I don't want that. I don't want that GoPro. And so some technical difficulties. I was ready. I was on time, but nope. My laptop was like, So let me see if I can flip this around. Because it's a little distracting. I like Dragon Ball, but we got to focus on what I'm talking about. So we're going to flip that around. Yeah, that's better. Okay, maybe we can okay, that's about as good as it's gonna get with that. So hello. Okay, now I can unpin this comment. Yes, I do need to do some stuff. I need to go get the link for this zine, but this is a Black Ponderer. Welcome to the Black Ponderer. This is a YouTube channel where we talk about philosophy. We primarily just read philosophical texts and just talk about like the philosophy in those texts, and that's mostly what we do. But we also do live streams, which is also cool. My name is Neil Trotter, the host, and what we're going to talk about today is, I say, the Anarchist philosophy, because I got this really cool zine as a gift from a cool pal of mine. And I was reading it, and I'm like, whoa, this is some deep shit right here. So I was like, this would be great for a zine, for a stream. So let me see here. First, I want to put a link where you can get this zine. It's like a indie artist. I think they got an Etsy shop. That's what it. Let's see here. I go to history. Where's okay. Let's see here. That's not it. Okay, let me just go to this person here. Street Leaves PDX. This one, let's see. I had all this running on my laptop, but my laptop was like, what is it? All? Where's that? Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Yeah. And then I think I can just get rid of that. Okay, cool. And I'll just pin this comment. I'll say link to the zine. Yeah. And I'll just do that. Arrow. Boom. Yeah, there we go. And then I can pin this. And then I'll also put this in the comments section. Link to the zine where that's discussed. And then we'll do that. Oh, I can't put those kind of symbols. Okay, fine. Save. Okay, cool. So, analytics. I don't know, man. I'm not professional. Hello, Jeremy. Hopefully, I am loud. Let's see here. Do I need to remove something out of this first? Yeah, let me take this little note out. Not sure if they want me to share that. I'll share that. And then, yeah, so hello. Okay, so yeah, this is a great zine. That was a gift from my buddy, and I was checking it out, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's got great art, and it's got some nice philosophy in it. And I'll show you some. I would. No, I'm not gonna. I mean, it's a zine, like, so it's not like I'm gonna spoil it or anything. Plus, I would encourage you to get it. It's nothing like having a physical copy, right? Look at the art up close, and plus, like, the camera I have isn't the greatest in the world, so you're not getting like the full cool art. I won't be able to do close-ups because my camera is not like it doesn't do those kinds of zoom in close shots as the GoPro. It's like an action camera, so you can't do all that. So if you really were interested and you're like, damn, I wish I could see it in person, check out that link. Okay, and so this zine, let me open it up. Look at it. It's got an A, okay, for anarchy. So it's Anarchist, but it's a very pretty art. Very pretty art. That's the cover. And then you say, question: is anarchy at its core about valuing people over profit? Yeah, I mean that's part of it. I don't know if that's the core idea of anarchy, but I mean that's definitely a fundamental part of it. Why is anarchy linked to communism? Oh, because anarchy is considered a kind of a leftist um, point of view, or left, and communism is also kind of in the realm of the left. I think really that's the reason why communism, socialism, anarchism, anarchism, they're just leftist kinds of thinking. A lot of communists don't even consider themselves part of the left, and a lot of communists like criticize leftists constantly. Like, particularly Marxist Leninists will often talk shit about the left as much as the right. Like, we're not a part of that. We're our own thing. But like, I don't know. Maybe you are part of it. I think that. I mean, there's many different differences. I mean, there's many communists who do not agree with anarchy, like Marxist Leninists. They're like, yeah, anarchy doesn't work. Or I know because I talked to many of those. But then there are also many communists who do embrace anarchy ideology and philosophy. So it's interesting. It's very, yeah. But I think that's why there's an association here. So you ask, what is the core value of anarchy? Yeah, that's what we got to talk about. I'll get into that. I'll show you some cool art first. What's going on here is like a city destroyed. What's this? Some sort of dystopia? Right. Yeah, but it's like kind of nature taking over. And you got these kids. I guess they kind of on their own, but they're smiling and stuff. So it's not like a Last of Us type of scenario. It's not like a what you call it, a that other zombie, all those zombie apocalypse shows. I want to say, why do I want to say Left 4 Dead? That's old. The Walking Dead. Yeah, it's not like super. They're not in the super depressing world. These kids are smiling, but I think they're on their own. Kind of has some sort of Hansel and Gretel vibes going on. And then a cat comes out of nowhere. What's up with this cat? I think I skipped the. I'm kind of zooming through these because there's so much detail, but there's no way. Like, I would encourage you to maybe check it out on the website that I linked. Maybe purchase it because I don't want to like zoom in to every single panel, right? Because I think you can best appreciate it, in person. So you got basically these kids alone in this world that's kind of like abandoned. Kind of Earth is taking over. I mean, nature has taken over the city, and this cat comes and kind of like walks and goes to a house, an abandoned house. And I guess the cat goes to this house, and the kids are like, "Huh, I guess we'll go in this house," because I think they feel like they can go into the house because I think it's like a dystopian scenario where it's like it looks like people are just not around anymore. So they're just like they assume nobody's living there because I guess most houses nobody lives in them anymore. So they're exploring. They're exploring the houses. And then, so what's happening is now you start to see the text. They go to the house and they check out the house's bookshelves. Great artwork. Great artwork. Lots of books here they're looking at. And that's when you get that, I guess this is that typical thing with a dystopian where you start young people who aren't familiar with the old world, like I guess the world before the great disaster. So they're reading the books like, oh, so this must be from the old world or something. And they're reading these books. And I'll read some of these. What's going on? Because these are where the philosophy kicks in. And then they talk about one of the books is what is it? South Sea Anarchy. So they're picking up books that are like anarchist texts. Thousands of us descending on Seattle, a reporter struggled to describe it. There are some people here roaming about. Well, not exactly roaming. I guess it's like an article about like an anarchist protest. I guess they're reading about protests. A flag with nothing on it? That's right, it's totally blank. Because that's like one of the ideas of anarchy. It's like, where's your allegiance lie? With nobody, or basically with people, right? With all people. you know. Okay, and then it talks about these. Keep reading, and I'm sure you can't really see the text, but that's fine. I'll read it to you. We want anarchy, which is a society based on free and voluntary accord, a society in which no one can force their wishes on another, and in which everyone can do as they please, and together all will be voluntarily contribute to the well-being of others. But because of this, anarchy will not have definitively triumphed until all will not only not want to be commanded, but will not want to command. It's kind of interesting because a lot of that what I was talking about with the video I just came out with, both that Angela Davis book, Freedom is a Constant Struggle, as well as that Che Guevara, that book about Che Guevara, Guevara, which is interesting because, is Angela Davis an anarchist? No, she's an abolitionist. Is Che Guevara, I'm sorry, Che Guevara, is he an anarchist? No, he's a communist. But you're seeing similar ideas. And then, hello, Red Sea Gull. Cool name with the alien emoji. Blank like an absence of rulers. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly, yep. So, that's what we're talking about here. And then what else is being said here? The anarchists must simultaneously be those who are blamed for startling, for start, for for starting, startling, for starting acts of indecency, inappropriate extremism. I wonder if that's a typo. I'm not sure. In all the right causes, they burned 4 police cars at our peaceful march. The typical, damn those anarchists throwing those damn Molotov cocktails. Supposed to be, that's what they're saying. And those who are around town cooking and sharing, holding street parties, projecting pirated movies, running libraries, and appearing at protests. Oh, look, it's the lovely anarchists again. So that's that duology, or that juxtaposition of the anarchists. The anarchists can be that person throwing that Molotov cocktail at the police car, but they can also be that person sharing food for free and giving you some literary text that will help you learn a lot, but it's like pirated. So it's peaceful and violent. That's like anarchists. So there's this kind of dual aspect of the anarchists, which kind of makes it hard for people to simplify anarchy and like describe, like, well, what is anarchy? And I think that's why anarchy is kind of difficult to describe, because it's like, what is it? I mean, I'm seeing these people, they're like, disrupting. They're like going on in the bridges and blocking the bridges, but that some of them are peaceful, and some of them are actually going up to the government buildings and like throwing bricks at the glass. So what are they? But it's hard to. It's all of those things. I'm less of like the brick glass throwing one. I'm more the the sharing the food kind. But I'm not gonna throw shade to those anarchists that do that, flip it over police cars, because sometimes that's warranted. What they say, the first Pride, the first Pride celebration was a police riot. Right? So we will be safest from repressions and recuperation when everyone is thoroughly confused as to whether we are fighting or lovely. Exactly. So that's kind of the first philosophical. Let me put that. I'm reading that right there. Philosophical concept of anarchy. We will be safest from repression and recuperation when everyone is thoroughly confused whether we are frightening or lovely. I'm definitely encountered it. So I'm working. I work with a lot of anarchists, and you ask like, well, what is an anarchist? It's just like when somebody says, what's a socialist? I mean, it's mixed, man. It's not like one thing. It's not like capitalists or like a lot of people on that's the kind of the what makes the left kind of more difficult, or it's hard for the left to be united because it's so varied, as opposed to like the right, where it's like well, you're a neo-Nazi. Well, okay, I know exactly who you are. Or like, I'm a capitalist. Like, oh, okay. There's no like, if you're a capitalist, you're not there. There really aren't like different kinds of capitalists. They're just like the one, or like different kinds of conservative. Now, conservatism has like varied throughout the ages, but if somebody says they're conservative now, you pretty much know. Like, oh, okay, so you're like anti-abortion. I mean, you're anti-abortion. You're very pro. Pick yourself up from your bootstraps type of mentality. Like kind of like leaning toward nationalism, that kind of thing. Whereas, like, if somebody were to say, I'm actually a communist, it's like, okay, well, what kind of communist are you? Are you a Marxist-Leninist communist? Because that's very different from like, a communist like that's more aligned with like hippie culture, which is that's a whole thing too. But those are very different kinds of communists, right? Same thing with anarchy. What kind of anarchist are you? But we could keep going there. Let me go down here. Anarchy cannot come but little by little, slowly but surely growing in intensity and extension. So that's another core concept of anarchism. It's not instant. It doesn't happen just overnight. Like in anarchism, change happens very slowly, right? And so that is more confusing when people ask like, well, what is your objective? And it's like, well, sit down. I'll tell you my objective, but it's gonna take you like 2 hours. And most people will be like, well, I'm not trying to. I don't have that kind of time. It's like, well, I guess you can't be an anarchist. That's another core philosophical concept. As I've read anarchist literature on this channel, I'm seeing more and more like, oh, okay, they're anarchists. They play the slow game, which is, I think realistic. And then what is this? The subject is not whether we accomplish anarchy today, tomorrow, or within 10 centuries, but that we walk toward anarchy today, tomorrow, and always. So you with anarchism is like you are being the change that you want. And it's, with anarchism, it's not like you're not hoping that someday the world will change. You're like, well, I'm going to act as if the world has changed already. And I'm going to act. So I'm going to act in accordance with how I want the world to be. So, and that's kind of a little confusing. All right. And I think this is how like anarchism gets confused, because we live in a society where it's always about like the end. You're thinking about the end goal, and you're like making plans toward the end goal, and you're trying to accomplish something to ultimately achieve this thing at the end. Where anarchy isn't like that. Right? It's not like that. It's like I'm not concerned about whether I achieve this or not. Like I'm more concerned about living today the way I hope the world to be. Whether the world becomes that or not is irrelevant to me. The point is, I'm living the world as I want it to be now, and I will continue no matter how the world is. How, no matter how the state of the world is, or like, as we look at the world today and we see the world maybe going away from what we want, the anarchist is like, well, the world's going to do its thing. I'm not concerned about that. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And I think that's another crazy concept of anarchism. Let's see what else. In the dark times, will we be singing? Yes, we'll be singing of the dark times. So in the dark times, we'll be singing, and that I think that as you see these kids, and they're in this dystopia, but they're like smiling because they're like living the what they want, even in a dystopia. It's kind of that is a representation of the philosophy of anarchism. And then what is this? Every new day's dawn brings a song of its own waiting to be sung. Okay. Yep, that's what we're talking about here. Before. So every day is like an opportunity to live the way you want the world to be. Right? Even in the dark times. Right? That's like anarchism. And then here we have, what is this? Lost in the middle of a demonstration. Everyone sang. So this is song because you got notes. All power to the imagination. Let's see. When everyone sings that song together. Somebody struck up a song. We didn't know the words, but still we sang along. Just our voices, that's all. Everywhere a concert hall, voices, that's all. Lullaby and call. It rhymes. So all power to the imagination. So yeah, so imagination is very important to the concept of anarchy, right? Because with the concept in anarchy is like, I guess what the core concept, what is the core value, is to obliterate hierarchies, like to not to live in a world where that's ordered, but there's no orderer. Like there's no person telling you what to do. You just do it, right? And there's no need for somebody in power to like dictate what you do. It's just people just do what they do because people live in harmony. And so of course, the easy like rebuttal to that is like, well, how the hell is that going to happen, right? Right? You need people to tell, you need order, and you need somebody in charge to tell people, like, because if so, the anarchists will clap back, and they'll be like, uh, you know, they'll be like, well, how do you think it should be? And then the person's like, I don't know, I'm asking you. And then the anarchist will be like, but I'm asking you, how do you think the world should be? And of course, the person arguing would be like, see, this is why I don't like anarchism, because you have no answers. But the anarchist would be like, the problem is we're not leaving any room for imagination. Right? It's like we reject these possibilities as if they're impossible, but we haven't even taken like even a few seconds, maybe a few minutes even, to like think about like how that could happen. And so the anarchist is all about the imagining how it should be, and being creative about it is like, of course, like that's a hard thing to achieve, but can we at least like talk about it? Can we at least like try? And so for the anarchist, it's more important to like, well, let's have a creative session. um, and it's not even important to be like, after the session we come up with an answer. To the anarchist, that's like not important. The important part is the actually trying to figure it out. So there's this goal that is seemingly impossible, but the anarchist is like, I don't accept the impossibility of that. I'm gonna like continue to imagine a way for it to happen. It's like, and I think that's cool. Some people will be like, well, that's delusional. And I'm like, well, no, maybe that's like, a perspective that we haven't considered in life. Right? Well, let's continue. And then this picture here kind of embodies the various the myriad of anarchism. Right? The myriad ways of that. You got like people throwing bricks, Molotov cocktail, like we said. But you also got people feeding hungry people. You got children like planting, they're growing a garden because the idea is, well, we grow our own food. We don't have to go to Foster Farms or Oscar Mayer to buy food or go to like the grocery. We can just grow our own food. So it's that, and then you got people hugging. You got somebody playing with the kids, but it's also the and this lady who's like, it's also like anti-patriarchal because you got like, well, women are leading the charge too, but she's holding a bomb. So like, this is dual nature of peace and violence, uh, which is interesting. And then let's see here. Can I fit this all in the frame? Perhaps we have no future. That may be true, right? So we were just talking about that. It's like, well, as the world maybe it's going toward a, a position we don't want it to go. Like, uh-oh, maybe we are going toward a place we don't want to. But then it's like, on a long enough time frame, we'll all be dead and the earth will be eaten by the sun. That much seems certain. Global climate change may kill us off along with all the other species that are being destroyed. Yet that doesn't make it any less beautiful to take action in the present. It doesn't make anything less meaningful too. All right. So that's the anarchist position. It's like, well, maybe I'll be doing these social action activist things, or I'll be doing these protests, and maybe they won't do anything, but that's irrelevant, like to the anarchist. The anarchist says like, well, I'm still gonna do it because the act of doing it is beautiful, and it's not meaningless to do something despite the fact that it may not, or there's a possibility that no result will happen from it, right? And that it says the present is real, no matter what may happen in the future, and that's big with anarchism. All right, the present is real. So sometimes we're so fixated on the future, the future, it nullifies the present. It's like, well, this thing is going to happen and it's going to be bad. So what we do in the present doesn't matter, but anarchism rejects that. Right? It's like, just because the future is bleak doesn't mean the present doesn't exist. Right? Right. And so you gotta live in the present. So, and that's cool. If we don't act in pursuit of the things that we consider meaningful in the present, that compounds the tragedy that is underway and makes it a travesty. So if there's a tragedy that's going to happen, if you're not doing things against the travesty now, it's even more tragic, right? It's like, well, at least like live the way you want, right? That's the anarchist point of view. If we don't try to defend what we love, that suggests that we are not losing anything anyway. If we impose that tragedy on ourselves, renouncing our ability to dream, it is as if we deserve it. Ooh, that's like some strong words there. So it says, like, if we don't try to defend what we love, it's like we are not. It's like we're not losing. It's like, because love is an expression of the present. It is not like, love is not an expression of the future, right? Right? So it's like, love exists in the present. So if you're looking at the future, it's like, oh shit's gonna hit the fan, and that's gonna prevent you from like, well, I guess I just won't give a damn about anybody or anything today. It's like, well, I guess you really just didn't give a damn either way. is the anarchist point of view. If you're not even gonna do what, if you're not gonna do, if you're not gonna try to defend what you love when things get tough, then the argument is, well, did you even love? Like, how strong is your love, right? Right. It's like, and then what does it say? If we impose the tragedy on ourselves, yeah, and then renouncing our ability to dream. Like, are you gonna let the bleak future destroy your ability to dream? Like, well, you can imagine a different world, and it's like, well, how can I imagine a different world? It's so like the odds and the possibilities are like, look at what's gonna happen. And it's like, yeah, but just because the odds are like are not looking good doesn't mean you still can't uh, you know dream of a better world, and do something toward that dream, right? And you might say like, well, you can do all that, but it's still gonna be fucked. It is like, well, like if you're gonna take that position, then it's like that is like you're living in the future. You're already living in the future that you are afraid of, right? It's, it says as if we deserve it. I think it's more saying like, well, I mean, it's saying what it's saying, right? But I tend to look at it like, you're scared of a future that hasn't happened yet, and so your fear actualizes that future in the present. Right? So you're kind of like you time traveled as opposed to living more in the present and being like doing things against that tragic future. Then you could you doing things that can change the future. And then it says, but what if we act in a way that shows we the world could be different? So what if we act in a way that shows the world could be different? That will give the tragedy that we're experiencing weight. I'll pause there. Think about that for a minute. What if you lived in a way that shows the world can be different, right? If you do that, if you're like, oh shit, it doesn't have to be this way, then what you're afraid of becomes even more scary, right? Because kind of that nihilism goes away, right? That like ambivalence, because it's like, oh shit, there is something we could do that can make change, but now I really don't want that to happen, right? And then let's see. Red Sea Gull says, "I like that. Don't let the how the future looks take away your ability to want something better." Hey, by the way, long time sub, first time commenter. Okay, hello, cool. It says, "Then there will have been something beautiful in the world when it comes to an end." Because, like it said at the beginning, look, the Earth is going to get swallowed up by the sun. I mean, that's just going to happen, right? But at least like that world that gets swallowed by the sun had people in it doing things that were beautiful, right? As opposed to people who just let shit hit the fan, right? Which is in anarchistic, like, well, that's important. If only our desire for something else, the fact of it's having been while hang in eternity, something that cannot be erased from history. Even if our dreams cannot come true, we can honor them thus. Yeah. It's saying like, look, your actions toward making a better future, that's going to live on forever. That's their philosophy. Now, whether like that disrupts the tragic future, that's a different story. But your actions are gonna live forever, right? So even if your dreams don't come true, the dream in and of itself is meaningful and it matters. Right? Like the not the inability to not dream, the ability to dream, it matters, and not only to dream but to act, to actualize that dream, it matters. And that's like the anarchist point of view. I think that might have been the last of the text. Oh no, I don't. Yeah, look at this artwork. It's just pretty, pretty line work here. It's just excellent line work. And here they are, like putting the books in their backpack. That's funny. They're stealing the books. They assume like the person doesn't live there anymore. It's like nobody in there. So might as well take them, right? That's how you can know it's like a dystopia because they're like, there's nobody in these books. It says, rather than looking, let me zoom in on this art. Rather than looking at history backwards, starting with the conclusion when everything we love will have ceased to exist, let's begin from the present moment. Let's become capable of acting in the context we're in. Ooh. Let's act in the context that we're in, right? Begin from the present, not from. Let's not begin from the future outcome, like, because we're kind of conditioned to do that. Not only are we conditioned to do that, we it's kind of just what we do. We look at the world and we're like, we make these predictions based off of our understanding of the world. Like, well, the world's gonna be like this, or my current situation is gonna be, and then we act accordingly, as opposed to like, well, the world's gonna do what the world's gonna do, right? Or the circumstances are gonna circumstance. Right? I'm gonna just do this. Right? Either way I go, I'm gonna do this. Context is everything. If we form a vision of the best that our lives could be, we can navigate by that through the present, the way our ancestors navigated by the stars. The real content of utopia is the concrete actions it enables us to take. It has power in the present, whatever may happen in the future. Ooh. The real content of utopia is the concrete actions it enables us to take. Nice. So the concrete actions, the things we do today, that enable us to proceed, right? Or like actualize where we want to go. And this is what utopia is. Utopia is not some, end goal. Right? That's it's kind of funny when you think, because that's how we think of, the good futures, or like, good outcomes. They're like end goals. Like, eventually we will come to this point, but anarchy is like, no. Is like you're thinking about it backwards, right? The utopia is now. Where you want to be is now. Right? You start from now. You don't start from the end goal. You start from now, and then that's what matters. Right? And then it says, ultimately, we don't know what the future may hold. It could hold beautiful things. It could hold beautiful. Is that it? I forgot. Is there any more text? Oh yeah. Okay, it says more. And there's just more things. That's all. It does continue, but it's like several pages. Ultimately, we don't know what the future may hold. It could hold beautiful things, and then the kids leave, and the cat's there. And apparently, like, there was some older lady there. And then there's the A. for anarchy. Oh, sorry. Yes. I think this is supposed to mean something. It's like symbolic, but I would leave that up to the if you purchase or order, get the zine in print, you probably can figure that out. Oh, got that bad glare. Let's see how I can do this. Yes, there will always be something beautiful. The idea will always live. Okay, and then that's it. It's a zine. It's pretty short, but that's pretty cool. And then it actually cites anarchist texts, which are there's a work cited there. Let's go back to that black page. Oops. Yes, there will always be something beautiful in the future. What was it? What did it say? Ultimately, we don't know what the future may hold. Excuse me. It could be beautiful things. Yes, there will always be something beautiful. The idea will always live. There's always something beautiful in the future, no matter what. Because there's always beautiful ideas. There's always dreams. People always dream. And so I guess that the idea, the idea will always live. But the idea here is that the dream in and of itself is important, particularly if you act on the dream now. If you're like, and it's what's important is the doing the concrete actions today or in the present to actualize the idea, right? And it is it if like, well, will the dream get achieved at the end? It's like that's not important. Right? What's important is the now, and that's really the core concept of anarchy. Isn't it cool? The beautiful idea. And then Cyborg 2.0 says hi, hello, hello. We're just going over the zine, but I just was reading that zine. It was a gift from my buddy, and I was like, damn, this got some heavy philosophy in it. Some deep philosophies. I would like to share this because anarchy gets misrepresented a lot. The philosophy and the methodology, because it isn't like anarchy is not like, I mean, it is an ideology, but it's a lot more than just that, right? Anarchy is like a philosophy. It's like a movement. It's a methodology. It's just a way of being a social activist, right? It isn't like, so it's different from like communism or like socialism or capitalism. It's not, anarchy is not like a political system, or it's not like a socio-economic system, right? It's not like an economic system. It is and it's not just a philosophy, right? Because actions are involved as well. So it isn't just like, theorizing, right? It's like, it's the actual process in doing. Um, yeah, it's, I guess that, I think the kind of the best way to describe it is a methodology of, social activism. And but the thing about anarchy is, which makes it kind of misconstrued a lot, is that it does have values, but it doesn't have like end goals like that. So that's the difference, right? Anarchy doesn't have a an ultimate like end, right? Like, you can't like point to a society, even like a utopia, or like, a heaven. Like, let's just use the example, the stereotypical heaven, and say like, well, anarchy ends there. Like, no, because even in like the, for example, if you think about heaven and you think about like God and angels, so there's a hierarchical power structure. So anarchy would say like, well, there's still work to be done, right? And so you would say like, oh, okay, so anarchy ends when there's no hierarchy, and an anarchist would say, no, it doesn't end there because right? Because you'd always have to remain vigilant, right? Because there's a whole theory about the nature of power and how power continues to weave its way and corrupt. So hierarchies will continue to spring up even when there are no hierarchy. So it's constant. It's constant effort. And then so like you would ask, how do you achieve this? It's like, well, it depends. It's varied. It depends on the context. It depends on the society. It depends on the people. Anarchy is gonna look different depending on the people involved in the society, and the circumstances and the time, right? So there is no one. It's not a cookie cutter thing with anarchy, right? It's which frustrates people who are like trying to understand anarchy, or who argue against anarchy. So that's not going to work. And anarchists will say, well, it's not going to work because you are not applying enough imagination to it. You're not being creative enough. Right? Yeah, I'm not. I don't consider myself an anarchist, to be honest with you. Sometimes hierarchies are necessary, in my opinion. Now, there are anarchists who do say like, yeah, no, actually, some hierarchies are necessary, which is a whole thing. And then they make the distinction between, well, there's legitimate hierarchies, and then there's illegitimate hierarchies. And even the legitimate hierarchies, you have to make sure they're always in check at all times. So you have to do these things to keep them. It's this whole thing. But I think anarchy as a methodology offers a lot to the table. I work with a lot of anarchists, and I'm part of several anarchist organizations in my social justice work, and it's pretty cool. That Red Seagull says there have actually been a couple examples in history here and there, not perfect examples of anarchist societies. Hmm. Yeah, there have definitely been like anarchist societies, but yeah, they're not perfect examples. But there's no perfect example of any society. Right? That's true. Let's go back to if you want to get controversial and say like, well, what about the um, heaven, right, with God in there? But even that society had problems. I mean, look at Satan. He rebelled in that society, and what is it like? A third of all angels rebelled against. So even that society wasn't perfect, right? What society is perfect? I don't know. What are some examples of hierarchies that you think should exist? Is what Cyborg 2.0 says. There's two different examples come to mind. Example number one is I don't know if you're familiar with. I'm afraid to do it. The image of the black hole, like the very first image of a black hole. Let me see if I can do this. You probably seen it, right? Black hole image. Okay. Now I'm using OBS here. Oh God. Okay. Let's see here. Can I display capture? Oops. Do that. Do that. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. Um, can I do this? Oh, that's too big. Wow. Okay. Oh, I messed up. Back. Yeah, yeah, you're familiar with the image. I don't know. It's just for example, example purposes. So how did this image came to be? Right. It was a coordinated effort of many different organizations throughout the world. Right. Many different science organizations all over the place. Right, and that all that needed to be coordinated, right, and there did need to be people in charge, right, to tell people, okay, we're doing this, no, we're not doing that. That's people went to the table and said, can we do this? No, we can't do that. Can we do this? Yes, that's a good idea, we should do that. And there were people that the people in charge that was like, I'm gonna put my foot down on that, we're not doing that. uh, things of that nature where it's like these large efforts that involve like many different organizations like across the globe, like you need like a kind of hierarchy structure, because if it's like just people doing what they want, and you can even say like, well, you can do consensus, but that's going to take too long. Right. At some point you do have to kind of keep it moving, right? I don't think getting this image would have worked if there was no hierarchical structure, like, right? And by the way, I mean, this is to me, like, this image is like a testament of like how incredible humanity is, right? That they're able to do, because this was the black hole was like this theoretical concept that human beings just like thought up. Like, oh no, well, basically, like, the math shows like, at some point, like, gravity will reach a singular point where gravity, the force of gravity will be infinite, and so there will be this place in the universe like where light can't even, I mean, and this is like a theoretical concept, right? And after a while, people, scientists were like, yeah, well, I guess, the more and more observations pointed to the idea like, well, these things, like, they probably exist, they must exist, right? Because it kind of makes sense, but we didn't really know. And finally, like, we have like visual proof that such a thing exists. It's just like incredible to me personally, like, human beings can like think of these complicated things and just kind of imagine them in their mind, and just through like intense like rigor of just thinking, and these things that are like hundreds of thousands of light years, millions of light years away, right? They could just think of these things, and then it so happens that they exist. That's amazing to me. But yeah, I think you need like some sort of hierarchy, organization to achieve these kinds of things. So there's that one. We go back to the comic. Another, like, if you think about another example, which is kind of different, is like the solving climate change, for instance, right? We know like the solution to climate change has to do with reducing our emissions of CO2, carbon, carbon fuel, dramatically. Like, CO2 emissions have to be reduced dramatically, and we're not like even close to being there yet. So I think like for that to happen, you're gonna have to have a hierarchical structure, or like a power that says, you know what, it doesn't matter. You can't, like, you just can't, like, you gotta leave that oil in the ground. We're just making, we have decided that you need to leave the oil in the ground. So what if you lived in a world where, well, people can just do what they want, right? Like, well, this society chooses to live based off of renewable energy only, but then there's this other country that's like, well, no, we're just gonna continue to just use fossil fuel. You know, we're just that's how we roll. You know, I think the key to solving climate change is like us having like a global hierarchical power structure that says, okay, you country, you can't. If maybe you want to dig up this oil, but you're not gonna do it because that you're gonna jeopardize humanity right by doing that. Right. So it's kind of like somebody has to, put their foot down and be like, yeah, you can't do that. I know you want to do that, but you can't, right? Because you're jeopardizing all of us by doing that, right? So I think that would be a legit hierarchical structure, right? As opposed to like saying like, well, any nation or group should be allowed to do what they want, but when that what somebody does jeopardizes the safety of somebody else, particularly like most people, then you gotta step in and be like, yeah, no. Right? So you could just there's so many examples of that, where kind of hierarchy is needed, like is necessary. Many examples it's not, right. There's a lot of illegitimate power structures, but some people just don't know how to act. What I mean? So that's all I'm saying. So that would be me. That would be my point of view on that. But yeah, well, I would encourage you to um, check out that zine if you want. I was just looking at the artists. We can just do that real quick. Let's see here. It's a pretty cool artist. There's no sponsorship or anything like that. This was a gift. This was given to me, by somebody who's not affiliated with the artist at all. But I was just looking at their Etsy shop. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Look at this. It's pretty cool. I don't know this artist at all, so no sponsorship. I was like, talk to plants, not cops. That's cool. And that's some nice art. What's this? Trumpet call. Okay. Oh, a cab. Oh, here's a good one. Yeah. All cops are bastards. I'm a police abolitionist myself. I think the world would be better without police officers. I don't really embrace the whole all cops are bastards. I think the policing in and of itself is absolutely horrible. But, you know, not all police off, that when a good person goes into a horrific system, they're going to become horrible. But I guess it's because I have many family members who are cops, and I wouldn't call them bastards. But do I not believe in what they do? Yeah. I wonder if I could. Oh, I don't monetize my videos, so it's fine. I can totally share this. It's a great image. All our mothers killed fascists. It's good art. I'm just, giving some rep to the artist here. When I give some citations. Check it. This one's pretty cool too. Hopscotch abolition. That's kind of funny. Be gay, do intellectual property crime. Okay. Okay. All right. Control V, copy. Okay. I don't I don't see the correlation. I'm missing something, obviously. It's a joke. Smashing patriarchy is self-care. Okay. I heard that. Fire to the prisons. Okay, I'm almost done. Oh, I mean, we're basically the stream is complete. We're done. Uh, no masters, no god, no gods, no masters, no captains. That's like an anarchist thing slogan. Cool. Yeah, that's some nice art. But yeah, the artist Street Leaves PDX. Check them out. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for joining me today on this exploration of anarchist philosophy. And it was good talking to y'all. I'll see y'all later. Peace out. Give you a final peek of the front cover, back cover there. See you later.